I'm Vinny Politan. Thanks so much for joining us here on Closing Arguments. Big hour coming up. We have a lot of stories to get to, so let's jump right into it. Danny Masterson. Do you remember this guy from that 70s show? Looks familiar. He's not wearing the shades there. A little bit older, but a star. Big time sitcom. He's been accused of raping 3 women. There's another element to this trial, which is these allegations go back to the early 2000s. So why now? It seems the explanation from prosecutors is because of the Church of Scientology, of which Danny Masterson has been a member. He grew up in that church, and the accusers also members of the church. So there's a lot to unwind in this case, but the trial is taking place. No cameras, no microphones inside. But we've got Matt Johnson. Let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who joins us live tonight outside the LA County Courthouse. Matt, great to see you tonight. Let's talk about what's happening inside. Jane Doe number 3 back on the stand. What can you tell us about her testimony?
What a big week of testimony in week 2 of this trial. It's expected to last 4 weeks here in California, just down the road, or down the hall, rather, from the Weinstein trial that's taking place here in this courthouse behind me. So, yeah, you're right, Vinny. Nice to see you. No shades in the courtroom when Masterson's sitting there listening to his accusers. So far, we've heard from Jane Doe number 1, and then now Jane Doe number 3. They're testifying out of order. She is the former girlfriend. She self-identified herself in the public. That's why we're identifying her, Chrissie Bixler. She's a former model, worked with Cindy Crawford, lived with him at the time of all of these allegations. And she says that she was raped on more than 1 occasion when she was a member of the church, when she was dating him, and when she was unconscious. Take a listen to this part of this testimony. Again, no cameras. We're going to paraphrase. She says, "I woke up and I felt very confused. I noticed my whole body hurt." The assistant DA asked her, "Well, what part of your body hurt?" She said, "My bottom." She also testified that he laughed at me and said that he had had sex with her down there after she asked, "Was I unconscious the whole time?" And he said, "Yes." Bixler said that she went to the Church of Scientology instead of the police at first because that's what she believed that she was supposed to do. And she spoke with an ethics officer there. Quote this, "They explained to me that there was no crime committed because he was her then boyfriend at the time." She asked, "What were you worried?" She was asked, "What were you worried was going to happen if you didn't follow?" Meaning, if she didn't follow what the ethics officer at the Church of Scientology wanted her to do. And she said, "Well, they would destroy me," implying if she didn't do the courses and the classes and take responsibility for what she was describing as a rape. Now, under cross, Bixler was questioned about reporting to police. She was asked this by the defense attorney. "Did you tell the crisis woman that you were there to report an incident of violent rape while you were unconscious?" She replied, "That's what I went there to report." Defense attorney Cohen asked, "You didn't mention the November 11 rape?" Bixler said, "I'm not sure. I was reporting what I had reported at the church." And that is really the charge that he's facing from the November incident. Defense also made a point to talk about her memory, her drinking at the time, pending lawsuit currently with the church and with Masterson, and if police told her not to talk to any witnesses involved in this case. She said this, and it's paraphrased, "Actually, I remember that she said that I could speak with a witness, but I could not speak with the other victims, and I felt that was very strange." Then she was asked, in 2016, "Did you speak with Jane Doe number 2 about your cases?" Bixler replied, "I spoke with her, but there were no cases at the time." She later testified, "When I found out about her, I wanted to reach out to her. I believed her, and I didn't tell her any details," meaning she didn't tell her any details about the case. So during all of this testimony for the past couple of days, Vinny, you see a change in Masterson when there are some of those sexually charged and rape allegations detailed in her testimony. He raises his eyebrows quite a bit. Sometimes, you know, he's not supposed to show emotion in the courtroom during that, you know, but sometimes he'll slightly nod his head like no. During breaks, he talks to his mom a lot. I see him tell her that he loves her very much. He has a big support from the family that sit right behind him. Family of actors, as you mentioned. And yeah, he looks at the witness as she's testifying, but the witness doesn't look at him.
All right, let's talk about the Church of Scientology. What are we learning during the course of this trial? What is some of the evidence that's coming out related to the church?
So the church is not on trial here, and the church has released a statement to us in the past saying that they don't comment on pending litigation, that they believe that Danny Masterson is innocent. Danny has also said that. He released a public statement saying that he felt that he's being wrongly accused since day one. We should mention that. But the church, it gets trickled in testimony here and there when they talk about teachings, going to the ethics officers, first reporting these alleged rapes and abuse. And it's also being talked about a lot in the celebrity aspect of it, too, because when you think about the church, you think about Tom Cruise, and you think about Leah Remini and the defectors, and also Lisa Marie Presley, who may be taking the stand. I met up with a Variety reporter, Elizabeth Wagmeister, and we talked about the case. Take a listen.
I think that there is high interest in the Danny Masterson case, not just because of Danny Masterson, but really because of the Church of Scientology. That is a major element in this case, whether the judge likes that or not. The judge has said at the beginning, this case is not Scientology on trial, but the fact of the matter is you have Danny Masterson, the defendant, who's a lifelong Scientologist, and you have three accusers who are or formerly were members of the Church of Scientology and have made allegations against the church saying that they were stalked, they were harassed, and that they weren't able to come forward to the police for very long because they were affiliated with the church. So I think the Church of Scientology, there's always a big question mark over it. A lot of people are very confused. It seems to be a mysterious organization with a lot said about it in the media. So I think because this is now a case that deals with sexual assault and converges into the Church of Scientology, I think all eyes are watching for that matter.
And all eyes that are watching some of this trial coverage play out on television are also noticing, Vinny, that there is a new campaign by the Church of Scientology in television ads during this trial.
Interesting. So what's next? What's coming up in this case?
So I mentioned Lisa Marie Presley. I was trying to get it from prosecutors when she's going to be called to the stand because allegedly she was told by Jane Doe #1 about the account of that abuse and those allegations of rape with that particular witness. And so we don't know when Lisa Marie Presley will be called to the stand. Another big name that we're hearing is Marty Singer. He's Masterson's former attorney. He's an attorney to the stars. He could be called to the stand to testify. That'll be interesting. But who's on the stand ending the day today? And first thing tomorrow is going to be that officer that took the report with Jane Doe #1.
Matt Johnson in L.A. bringing us all the details that our cameras cannot bring us. Thank you so much, Matt.
Of course.
All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, former prosecutor, former assistant state attorney, counsel for Ben Crump Law, and trial attorney Sue Ann Robinson. In Houston, Texas, criminal defense attorney Carmen Rowe, the queen of voir dire. How about that? And in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, law professor at Emory University, and Georgia Innocence Project board member Molly Parmer. Great to see everyone tonight. Sue Ann, is the church here being unfairly demonized in this trial?
I think in this trial, the Church of Scientology is unfairly being brought up quite a bit. And as Matt mentioned, the judge has asked for the church not to become the center. But the issue is the defense attorney has to challenge the credibility of these victims in order to defend his client. And the victims' primary defense as to why they didn't report earlier on is because they were part of the Church of Scientology and they were advised not to report, and that they were so afraid of the repercussions within the church that they did not report. So Scientology is wrapped throughout the case because it's such a huge part of why the case was reported very late.
Carmen, is there any reason not to believe Jane Doe #3?
I don't know, Benny. This is a tough case. No, I don't think so. I mean, a lot of the details she gives are damning in this case. And as much as, it's common to cross-examine a complainant about her recollection, about when she came forward, why she came forward, whether she talked with other witnesses, I don't think that's going to carry the day here. I think that there's a lot of problems in this case with the details.
Molly, does this jury need to hear the other side? You're going to hear from Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, Jane Doe 3. But how about Danny? Do we need to hear from Danny? Does the jury need to hear from Danny Masterson?
That's a good question, because I think all of us, you think this trial is interesting, and I certainly do. You just wait until the defense has an opportunity to put up a case. Now, of course, the defense has no obligation to put up any testimony and evidence. The burden lies with the state and the state alone. But here, mark my words, there is not just going to be a lot of defense witnesses. I think we're going to hear from Danny. I think we might hear from his wife, Bijou Phillips. Don't forget, both are actors. And I think we might hear from members of the Church of Scientology who come forward and rebut all of the claims of these alleged victims. So this case, I think, is only going to become more interesting. And I really believe that the defense is going to put on a full parade of witnesses, Danny Masterson included.
So let's talk about that moment, Sue Ann, when you've got an actor on the witness stand. Do you think a jury gets skeptical of an actor knowing that it's an actor? Saying, wait a minute, what's going on here? Or do they get a little enamored with an actor?
I think there's going to be jurors that are going to be skeptical and jurors that are going to be enamored. And I think that's why the cases are won and lost in jury selection. The defense is going to try to paint the picture that he had unhealthy relationships, maybe he was a bad lover, maybe he wasn't very loving, but that these were consensual encounters. And so that's what Danny Masterson
you say the bad lover
represent.
Defense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's what they're going to have to come with. If he's going to say, listen, you were blacked out drunk, you were coming in and out, you weren't fully conscious, and I still, did what I still had sex with you, then obviously he's going to have to give a reason as to why he's engaging in sex with his girlfriend and she's not interacting with him. He's going to have to say something.
So in a case like this, Carmen, I mean, these are allegations that could put him behind bars for a long time. I mean, this is extremely serious. I mean, everything is at stake for Danny Masterson. So he needs to take the stand, but how much does the defense need to attack the accusers? And what sort of tack do you take in going after an accuser in a situation like this?
Well, I agree with my colleagues tonight. They're doing what they can on cross with these complainants, but that's not going to carry the day. I do think the bad lover defense is being mounted in this case. I think it's a situation where Jane Doe has made it very clear he was not a thoughtful and compassionate lover. And he, as his defense lawyers are vocalizing, hey, that's just part of who he is. And that's going to be an issue that I think Molly's right. They're going to bring it up in their defense case. And maybe that's the way they drive this home. But it's not going to be done in just cross-examining or calling into question these complainants. That's not going to get it here.
And what's the LA factor, Molly, in all this? We know bad history in LA when it comes to prosecuting like actors and football players and, TV stars. Not a great history.
Well, not for the prosecutors.
Right.
Well, okay. So
Kings of pop.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting jurisdiction always, because don't forget, this is where your jurors are coming from. These are LA people who are trying to the case and deciding the verdict. So the LA factor is pretty high here, not just in terms of the cast of characters and all of these actors who could potentially take the stand, but also in terms of these jurors, right? And so when we have a trial like this without video coverage, we don't really, all we know is kind of what we're observing day in and out from these jurors. But I think in general, I mean, you probably have a pool of fairly eccentric people by virtue of the fact that they're from LA. And that is often, I think, what tips the scales in some of these really surprising cases. So anything can happen in LA, and anything often does.
Yeah, but we have a pretty eccentric cast of people here every Thursday night, it seems. I don't know. Anyway.